Hello, 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 everybody. This is Irina Strunina, and this is our next sixth session of Diabetes 101 for caregivers. This is a 2 hours crash course. Kim, Kyle, registered dietitian, and myself, we committed that in 2025 we are going to do those talks every month to help our caregivers, because the way how it often happens, the someone gets diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, they start visiting with the doctors, they start reading the literature, and people who care for them or helping them out very often don't have this chance to go to doctor's visit. They often don't know what exactly the doctor recommend, because their person who they care for often forget what doctor said, often forgot to ask the question, and sometimes they select do not share certain information that doctors recommended for different reasons. So, because I've been in this skin, Kim also had those experiences. We decided that we need to fill in the gaps for caregivers. And sometimes when we have someone saying, I am the one who is diagnosed and I am my caregiver, and sometimes, as I said, we forget what the doctors say, or we forget to ask the question. So this is your chance, your opportunity to have this reminder. And as I said, at the end, we will have a Q&A session when you can ask those questions directly, and we will try to do our best to find the solutions, to find the answer for you. So, the way how we will go today, we will be talking. Kim is, as I said, registered dietitian. She will introduce herself. I am Irina Strunina. I am the founder of this Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners. The group is crazy huge now. We started it 4 years ago with obviously just me, and now there are over 240,000 members in the group. Group was very active, but unfortunately, very often the conversation may focus on one specific topic in the group, and this topic is being discussed by people who are being diagnosed, who are right in the middle of this challenge, and they may don't know all the details. So it's important to overlook the whole situation and be aware of different underlying pieces of information that sometimes we just don't know about, not informed. So information, education is the key for success, and this is what this crash course is about. We breaking it down into smaller sections, so don't expect that we will cover everything today. Today we decided to focus on snacks, but the previous sessions we had. Let me share the screen so you could have actually a chance to see what we discussed in the past. So in the past, we spoke about what is diabetes and what is insulin resistance. So you will have a chance, if you go to our YouTube channel, Smart Move 360, you'll have a chance to see that presentation. We spoke about A1C, what is this, why it is important, how we can influence that number. And we also spoke about medications. This was a separate talk. We spoke about the nutrition aspect. Kim is registered dietitian. Nutrition is her area of expertise. So we are going to you will have a chance to go there and see it. We spoke about the way how you can affect the way how you feel and how your diagnosis go by doing a right choices, making right choices when you go to the store, grocery shopping, and how you read the labels and all this. So today, as I said, we are going to talk about uh, the snacks and healthy snacks and snacks that are helping people with diabetes. Kim has the whole entire presentation for it. But for right now, Kim, please introduce yourself, and we will move from there to the session today.
Thank you, Arena. It's really, I don't know how long I've been with you, but it's definitely been over a year
Yes.
at this point. And I came across the Facebook group because I was looking to serve, doing something in my extra time, and it's fallen into this where now Arena and I hold monthly presentations. And I'm so thankful because if I can impact just one person today, it's my pleasure. And it's really what I do. So I do this full time. I do have a full-time job. And right now, my full-time job is taking care of moms who are pregnant with diabetes, any type of diabetes. But the majority of my career has been with type 2, type 1 diabetes. And I did start this because my mom didn't have something like what Arena has provided, the founder of this group and the founder of the Diabetes 101 for caregivers and for beginners. So my mom didn't have this. And when my dad was diagnosed with diabetes, it was around also being diagnosed with five blocked arteries. He had to go right away to emergency heart surgery to save his life. It's a crazy story how that happened. I think I tell that in another video. But finally, he did get his heart surgery went well. He got a new lease on life and he was diagnosed with diabetes at that time. So we had a lot of things going on. And it was very confusing. And it was really scary that we almost lost my dad. So I took it upon myself at the age of 25 to decide to go back to school to be a dietitian because if anybody was going to be able to help my dad, it was going to be a family member because he just wasn't going to listen to a lot of the doctors and, he could do it on his own. So I felt that if this man needed to live a long life, it was going to be because I stepped in. His parents did not do as well with diabetes. His mother was a double amputee because of high blood sugars and was also blind. His father, my grandfather, died of a massive heart attack. Again, this was, in the early 70s, and these were things that we really weren't focused on. But now we are. We have a lot more information. We have a lot more knowledge about how to improve your risk of complicate or how to improve not to get the complications from diabetes.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that we met. I'm glad that you are enthusiastic as myself about this educational part. And as I mentioned, everyone, uh, Kim is going step by step over different aspects of caring for diabetes. And let's just go dive in. We don't need to spend more time in
Okay.
introduction.
Let me just set up my presentation. I'm going to share my screen and just give me a second to make it into the presentation mode.
All right. So after Kim is finished with that, we are going to have a like open panel for uh, everyone to share, to ask questions. Kim, if you don't mind to start with the basic information about diabetes, take
Yes,
about 5 minutes to kind of like warm up and then move on to this part.
I've integrated it into the intro of the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So I have been a dietitian for 2 decades. I have been at the same diabetes center for my entire career. And it's what I love. I love helping people. I loved helping my dad. I mean, he was the grumpiest type 2 diabetes patient I've ever had to work with. So if I can help my dad live a very long life, I can help anybody live a long life. Probably the grumpier, the better. Those are my favorite type of patients. But you as a caregiver, or maybe you are the person with diabetes, you also have to be very knowledgeable about what works and what doesn't. So we're going to talk about snacks today. I'm going to talk about strategies for snacks. I have some on the table right in front of me, some things that I choose. I also am in a position where, in my menopausal age, and I can tell you I'm menopausal, I have run into some added body fat, which has increased my risk for prediabetes, which I've been in and out of for the last 5 years. So I'm telling you, it can happen. And if you don't treat the prediabetes, it can turn into type 2 diabetes. So we're going to ditch the spikes of snacks, but first let's talk about type 2 diabetes. Now, this was an interesting, whoops, let me go back. This was an interesting quote I found from the ADA that says that for people with type 2 diabetes, you do not necessarily need to snack. Um, I think the whole snacking, like every 2 to 3 hours, comes from people who are on insulin, when we really didn't know much on how to regulate insulin better. But we don't have to snack. I mean, kids have to snack because they're growing. Of course, they need energy every 2 to 3 hours, but we don't, not as adults. We have body fat that we can use for energy. We have lots of other things we can use for energy. We don't have to snack. But if we do have to snack, I have a strategy for you that I can help you to either have a low carb snack or a medium carb snack to definitely help you with your energy through the day, especially if you're very active. But first, what is really diabetes? And it's not just one clear answer. There are a lot of reasons that are not in your control, like my family history, that can predispose you to diabetes. And please remember that the precursor for type 2 diabetes is prediabetes. So if you yourself or your loved one or your family member or friend, whoever you're caregiving for, ever says that, oh yeah, the doctor said I had prediabetes, that's actually pretty serious. I can't tell you the number of times where I have a patient that are very surprised by their type 2 diabetes. And I ask them, well, were you ever diagnosed with prediabetes? And they say, oh, yeah, a couple years ago, maybe 2 to 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with prediabetes, but the doctor said it wasn't a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. If you are diagnosed with any medical condition, it's a big deal. And prediabetes is something that is reversible. It never has to lead to type 2 diabetes. So the doctor wasn't influencing enough. But I'm telling you right now that if you're ever diagnosed with prediabetes or your loved one has prediabetes, that is the time to take action, not when they've crossed over to type 2 diabetes. So there is a family history. Over 45 years of age, we're definitely at higher risk of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. Family history, these are things we can't do anything about. Our age, our race, ethnicity, our family history. A lot of my moms that I treated earlier in my career with gestational diabetes have come back into my clinic with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So just having gestational diabetes can predispose you to the diabetes chronic disease. Now, things that you can have control over is, the diagnosis itself, prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, for you to take action. Become more physically active. It absolutely helps improve your blood sugars. Your muscles love sugar, but you have to activate the muscles for this to happen. So being active can definitely have a lowering effect on your blood sugars. If you have a high body weight, that means that you have energy that your body has not been able to use, so you've stored it as body fat. And when we have a lot of body fat, we don't have a lot of extra room to put that blood sugar. So emptying out some of those fat cells with exercise and weight loss and calorie control can absolutely keep our blood sugars lower. If you have high blood pressure, that is a condition that can be caused by a high blood sugar. And so these are things that if you have one condition, maybe improving the high blood pressure will also improve the high blood sugar. But essentially, what is diabetes? Diabetes is too much sugar in the blood at one time. Your blood sugar stays higher longer. Why is that a big deal? Well, sugar is transported by all your blood vessels and veins, and sugar can be, over a very long period of time, very corrosive to the arteries. It can cause your arteries and veins not to work very well, especially the really tiny ones in our eyes, the further away from the heart. So our toes and our feet can be very impacted by these high blood sugars. If the veins and arteries are not working as well, or they kind of get very flimsy where they're not pushing the nutrition through quick enough, that could lead to, if you have a wound on your foot, the nutrition's not going to get down there to heal it because your blood vessel is impacted with sugar. So there's lots of reasons why this high blood sugar is not good for a long period of time. So if you have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, you got to know what are your blood sugars. So finding a way to check your blood sugar with the blood sugar meter. Most insurances will pay for a blood sugar meter if you have the diagnosis of prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. You can also look into some of those sensors, the CGMs, the continuous glucose monitors. You could get those by prescription, but there is one that is made by one of the main CGM manufacturers. It's called Stelo, and Stelo. I didn't put that down there. I should have, but Stelo. You can go to thatname.com and you can order a sensor directly from their website. You do not need a prescription for that. For two sensors, it's $100, but might be worth it to see where are your blood sugars. It will give you a 24-hour look of how are your blood sugars after eating meals with exercise, so you can start making some informed choices on how you want to better manage your blood sugars. What's also happening with diabetes is your insulin is just not working the way it should. There could be too much insulin in your blood at one time, which means that's the definition of resistance. Like you have all the workers, you have all the army in your blood trying to get those blood sugars down, but nobody's listening. The insulin can't open up the blood vessel to it let the sugar escape, and the cells on the other side are not listening to the insulin to open up the cell to absorb the sugar. So there's a lot going on with insulin resistance. Um, Exercise, weight loss improves insulin resistance, medications possibly. So there's a lot of things going on. But if you have a high blood sugar, which would be an A1C of 6.5 or higher, that is type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is an A1C of 5.7 to 6.4. So if you have any A1C 5.7 or higher, this is for you. This is what you need to do for yourself or for your care, the person you're caring for, is start changing the entire family. Everybody changes. When somebody in the family has insulin resistance and diabetes and they have to start making changes to their diet, everybody gets to do the same. I would absolutely have somebody connect with their doctor because it is a possibility, as especially as we age, we actually lose the integrity of our insulin cells. So maybe we're lacking insulin. That could be something that we can test. And that test is called a C-peptide. So in some reason, we don't know, genetically, autoimmune, we lose our insulin cells, and that can lead to type 2 diabetes or type 1.5 diabetes or even type 1 diabetes where you lose all your insulin. If you lose all your insulin, then that's a big problem. You have to end up taking insulin to move that sugar into the cell. So we got to get the sugar out of the blood vessel to the cells as quick as possible. And there's a lot of barriers there, but nothing that you can't overcome with medical care and also with self-care. Anything you want to add to that, Arena?
Actually, not that much to add. I appreciate you talking about it because the only one thing I thought to add that in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, we have some people who are being really careful about their health and they're coming to learn before things happen. So they did
Yes.
learn that their blood work showed that their A1C is 5.6,
Hmm.
and they become very worried. Unfortunately, the your statement that people sometimes don't take this serious, the diagnosis of prediabetes. I had yesterday conversation with somebody in a group, and that person said that her doctor, knowing that her A1C was over 7, did not ever told her that she has diabetes. So she came to the group and learned that she has diabetes from the reports that group members were giving, not from
Wow.
her doctor. So uh, education is very important, and I'm happy that she actually took this active part and started making some changes. But when you go to the doctor, ask questions. What does it mean, A1C of this number? Am I in this zone or in that zone? What would you recommend? Some doctors know more about your diagnosis because it could be related to some other diagnosis that
That's
people
right.
have,
Hmm.
and some medication may affect the
Yes.
blood work. So all this important to discuss with your primary care physician who has hopefully all your data together so they could look at all picture and help you to become most effective caregiver for yourself or for your loved one.
I hope that person will find another primary care doctor
I think
because,
so too. I told her that.
yeah, yeah, that is really irresponsible. Listen, my almost 20-year career, it has been fascinating how unaware or the doctors are about notifying patients that, hey, this is something we really want to take care
Yes,
of. And I went to a forum, this was years ago, but with a bunch of doctors, and I was the only dietitian there. And I asked them, why don't you send your patients to me sooner? Why, once they have diabetes, why not send them to me with prediabetes? And the many doctors said, oh, they won't go. But well, give them an opportunity at
yes,
least. I think
that's
some
right.
of the doctors are just very jaded, or I don't know, but get a new doctor.
Yes,
So, how can we reverse type 2 diabetes? Well, yes, a lot of it is going to be on you now, or the caregiver to help your family member or friend. What the caregiver has to remember is they are not the police. They are not the teacher. They're not, over the person with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. You have to almost make the changes yourself. If you're the person that's buying food for the house, you have to change your grocery list right away. And maybe the person doesn't even realize you changed from regular soda to a diet soda. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you have to make those changes. Everybody has to be in on it because the person with diabetes, is very tempting for them when they see things in the pantry and the refrigerator that, they love, they're tempted to drink it. And that's really hard for them. So make it easier for them. So my biggest advice, anybody that wants to know what can I do right now to stop my blood sugars from being too high, is stop the liquid sugars. Let's just get those out of the house. That does include orange juice, apple juice, any juice. Eat the darn fruit. Eat the apple, eat the orange, but avoid drinking the juice. Sweet tea. I hear a lot. I live in the South, okay, South Carolina. Sweet tea is a big thing in my state. And this is a really big conversation I have with a lot of patients. Well, I'll just do half sweet, half unsweet. It's still, your glass could be this big. It's still, half of that is still sweet. So if you want to lower your blood sugars instantly, absolutely get rid of the sweet liquids, even the smoothies. Now, some smoothies we can certainly collaborate on and make those much lower. But if you're making food for your family member or friend with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, these are things that you will need to change as well. The plate method I'll introduce in just a second. The plate method is the gold standard for a blood sugar friendly plate. You can create thousands of combinations of food by following the plate method. Move your body. So if you are the caregiver of somebody with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, you might need to be the lead in a very kind and supportive way, like if it's your husband or spouse, hey, let's go for a walk. Or hey, the pool's open. It's been really hot. Let's go for a swim. Moving your body any way you can move your body, even with household chores, you are going to activate your muscles to start burning the sugar that they've already stored. We store sugar, which is energy, in our muscle cells. All throughout our body, we store it. But when you're activating your muscle cells, there's just a tiny bit in there for that initial activity. And then after that, your muscles are looking for any available sugar it can find quickly and use that for energy. So you have had a meal, you have had, some kind of a high carb, you know, snack or something with the meal. If you start moving right away, your blood sugars will come down much sooner. So often I hear in the group, Diabetes 101 for beginners is like, oh, had this and this and this. I don't know what my blood sugar will be. I'm worried about it. Move. Just get up. Don't be worried about it. Get up and do something about it. You can change everything about your blood sugars in 2 hours. But don't just sit there and worry about it. Get up, move, do something. If you are not able to move your legs, maybe you have neuropathy, maybe there are some things going on with your family member or friend that you're caring for. Upper body is great. We can do upper body. We can have a water bottle in each hand. We can do a lightweight. We can do a stretchy band, just anything to move the body. Standing at my desk here, I could just lift my legs up and down, march in place. Any little thing that you can do. Oh, see, Arena's got it. She's already demonstrating. She's got her weights there. That's amazing.
1 pound on my desk.
You know what? If you do that for 2 minutes, you're not going to be able to move your arm, and that's fatigue. That's good. That's good for the muscles. And then finally, connect with your primary doctor. And if it says something like, "Oh, your A1C is 7%, it's fine," get a new doctor. That is not okay. Also,
Or
uh-huh.
maybe you love that doctor and share with the doctor that your goal is lower it to
Yep.
the safe zone. And I am sure the doctor, most doctors, will get on board with you and will start helping you. Because,
Yes.
as Kim said, way too many doctors went into the situation when they told someone and someone didn't do anything about it. And when it happens year after year, case after case, doctors also giving up. They
Yeah.
inform you, this is your blood work, moving on. But if you indicate to doctor that you want this to be improved or ask the question, what can be done? This doctor might very well just become your most enthusiastic supporter
Yeah.
and will help you to get the results that are safe for you. This is instead of prescriptions, instead of just adding up more prescriptions.
I think that's really great that you said that, Arena, because it's your interest. You as a caregiver and motivate the person you're caregiving for, and maybe it's you. Maybe you care for yourself. Connect with your primary doctor. If you love your doctor, but they're not really so motivated about your diabetes, ask for a referral to an endocrinologist. That is their specialty. That's what they do all day long. Ask for a referral to somebody like me, a registered dietitian, somebody who specializes in diabetes. I have an added credential, CDCES. That means I'm a certified care specialist for diabetes. I don't know how they call me anyway. I'm a diabetes specialist, but look for that, CDCES. Okay, the plate method I mentioned earlier. You can use this for meals and for snacks. Here's what the plate method means. And you can Google this. If you Google the plate method and ask for images, you're going to find many plates. You can even do the plate method for snacks, but I'm going to really solve a lot of that for you today. So the plate method shows us that there's a lot of food. There's just not a lot of carbs. Carbs, I'm still a big fan of carbs. I get a lot of pushback in the group. But I'm not going to have you give up carbs if you don't want to. You can navigate your blood sugars with carbs, but you have to support those carbs, the slow digestion of those carbs by including the foods that don't raise blood sugars in the first place. I don't count every carb. I'm not that kind of a dietitian. Most of the people I see are brand new, and it's just too much information. So there is a category of foods that I don't count carbs in, and that's protein foods. Peanut butter would be considered a protein. Cheese would be considered a protein. Eggs would be considered a protein. There are some protein foods that have a couple carbs here and there. I would never count those. Non-starchy vegetables is a group of vegetables that are very, very low in carbohydrates. I don't count those. They are about 5 grams of carbs per cup, but I let that go because it's just one category of foods I want to encourage more because it's really not going to impact your blood sugars, but it's really going to impact your fullness and it's going to help slow down digestion because it's full of fiber and full of volume and very low in calories. And then we pick the carb we want. Maybe it is rice. Maybe it's potatoes. Maybe it's pasta. Maybe it's bread. That's your choice, but pick one type. So if you can look at this plate and compare it to something you might get at a restaurant, you have a mountain of rice, you have a mountain of pasta. That's not a blood sugar friendly plate. So if you can see the visual here and compare it to what you might get at a restaurant, you can change the plate at the restaurant. You take some of that carbohydrate home for a different meal, but you enjoy a little bit of it there at the restaurant. So there's a lot of strategies for dining out. Maybe that will be another conversation we do, Arena, another presentation.
Yeah, we will discuss that and when we plan the next presentation.
So here are some more. Some pictures are mine and some pictures are from the internet. This is another way to look at the plate method, and this can also apply for snacks. But the reason why I'm showing you this is if you have full meals, if you have meals with carbs, vegetables, and protein, you are fuller longer and might not need to snack. That would be the ideal situation. I will tell you the meal I had on the very right, it was a breakfast meal. I have my protein, that's the eggs. I have chicken or turkey sausage. That's the protein. So the protein is eggs and chicken sausage. Then I had the avocado for a healthy fat. That would kind of be like my free vegetable or healthy fat. And then I had one of those little hash browns because I just love those. That was my only carb for the meal. I was full for 4, almost 5 hours on this meal. I was not hungry one bit. And when you start designing your meals like this, you snack less. You crave less food. Your blood sugars are stable longer. You just feel so much better and you have more energy because your blood sugars aren't going to go up and then crash in 5 or 10 minutes. So designing your meals will support your snacks and help you snack less and help you make better choices when it comes to snacks. Because if we're just eating carbs all day, that's all we want, that's all we crave. And that leads to a lot of high blood sugars and a lot of low blood sugars and then high blood sugars again. So eating the meal will help you to snack less.
For sure. And stay active.
Yes, and stay active. So I love all of these meals. The other one that's mine is the Healthy Choice frozen meal and the fruit. So the Healthy Choice frozen meal, they're making them now with no carbs. And what I probably should have shown with this, I would add even more frozen broccoli to that Healthy Choice meal, probably another 1 or 2 cups. And then my carb, so we have vegetables, we have protein, and my carb for that meal is the fruit. The reason I like to choose fruit for carbs is because it's a lot less carbs per cup. It's only 15 grams per cup of berries. If I have the rice, that's 45 grams of carbs per measuring cup. So I get a lot more volume when I choose fruit and vitamins and fiber and minerals and it's sweet. It's all the other things that we need. I love the people who are now making bowl meals. I love it. The base is veggies, then you can put some things on top that are carb, maybe some chicken for protein. This bowl is more of a vegetarian bowl, but there's a lot of vegetables in here. This is how you get full. This is how you maintain your hunger and fullness so you're not snacking as much. But if you want a snack, let's talk about the steps. Number one, are you hungry? If you're not hungry, you don't need a snack just because it's 3 o'clock, right, Arita?
Yes, I have a quick comment. We had in our history quite a few experts talking about it. And one of our favorite comment was when you come to refrigerator and you grab the handle, think about it. Am I really hungry? And she does not like celery. She said, am I as hungry that I will eat a celery stick? And if the answer is yes, she will go and proceed. And if the answer is like, probably not, said, well, then I'm not hungry. And she said, and I leave. And that's the way she helped herself to lower her blood sugar.
That's a very, very good point. I mean, I've gone as far as even in my own home to put up signs because I know I'm a dietitian. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge, but I am still a woman, human who's hormonal. And I sometimes have to remind myself and say it out loud so my ears hear it. Am I really hungry? Come on, get out of here. So I say these things to myself just to help me move away. Just move away, get out of the house, do something else. But are you hungry? Are your blood sugars dropping? Maybe you have a continuous glucose monitor, and maybe you feel a little shaky or not, you don't feel right. Check your blood sugar. If you're under 100 and your dinner or lunch or is not for 2 to 3 hours away, then yeah, you probably do need a snack because you don't want to get to the point, especially if you're on medications, to have a low blood sugar. Have you been exercising? Yeah, you probably do need a snack if you've been exercising because exercise is going to use up all that available sugar in your bloodstream for the muscles, which is excellent. That's a great idea. But you might need a snack, especially if your dinner isn't for 2 to 3 hours. If you are pregnant, this is my main job right now, working with my ladies who are pregnant with diabetes or gestational diabetes, and they do need to snack frequently. Their blood sugars are often very inconsistent. So if you're pregnant or a family member, somebody you're caring for, and this is where you guys come in as caregivers. Can you prepare the snacks? Can you make it easy to find? Can you have a snack drawer where you have the hummus or the veggies or the small apples? And so when we prepare, our grocery list, adding the quick and easy snacks or preparing them for that person that's going to come in starving, so it's easy for them just to prepare. Um, okay, so if your blood sugar is over 100, might not need carbohydrates with your snack. And so I have prepared a list of non-carb snacks. If your blood sugar is under 100, you probably would benefit from some carbs with a snack. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I'm going to start off with about 15 grams of carbs and show you what that looks like. If you're going to be continuing to exercise, you might need to increase the carbs with your snack. I mean, if you're going to be running or hiking, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios. I can't solve them all today, but we can talk about it in the question and answer section. Okay, grab and go. I love grab and goes. I am a fan of grab and goes. I'm a big fan of bars. I have some that I like. I'll show you what I like. You don't have to buy what I like. You can find something else. I like to prepare the snacks that I'm going to need. Creating volume with not only meals but snacks by adding things like pickles and tomatoes and celery and cucumbers. That's a way to create volume with the bar. If I'm just going to have a bar, I may not be satisfied, but if I add enough other foods around it, it really is going to secure my hunger and my energy. Protein and fiber are the main strategies to help slow digestion. You really want to be full and have blood sugars that digest or foods that digest very slowly so the blood sugars don't go up as quickly. That helps manage your cravings, it helps manage your energy, and it definitely will, over time, lower that A1C. So you can avoid carbs or have 15 grams of carbs, but the bottom line is it's going to have protein and it's going to have volume. So just the pictures here, I love cheese. Now, cheese is a higher calorie food, so it's not for everybody, but I love fruit as my carb. I constantly will have fruit as the only carb in my meal because there's so much benefit from that. And you can have a lot more volume for a smaller amount of carbs. So pairing a fruit serving of about a cup, we're not talking about 3 pints, we're talking about just a cup of fruit with some maybe 3 or 4 slices of the cheese. That's a great snack right there. That's going to bring in about 10 grams of protein and about 15 grams of carbs. So 10 grams of protein would be my go-to smallest amount of protein. Now, what you'll see down here in the bottom left is roasted edamame, and I have a picture of it in another slide. If you have not gotten on the train of snacking on roasted edamame, you are missing out. This is exactly what we need. In a very small serving, which is about a third of a cup, you're going to get 14 grams of protein. This is also vegetarian, so it's cholesterol free and it's high in fiber and it's so filling in just a small amount. It should be your new go-to snack. And I don't mind deli meat and cheese together. Sometimes I'll just have a piece of turkey, maybe a lower fat deli meat like a turkey or a chicken, and put some cheese in there, maybe add some pickles, have an unsandwich, put a little mustard in there, and roll up that deli meat with everything inside. That's a delicious snack. That's a no carb snack. That's something that's just going to get your tummy full until the dinner time, but not impact your blood sugars. Okay, so one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, "Oh, you can't have apples because it has sugar in it. Oh, you can't have carrots, because carrots have a little bit more carbs and sugar." Stop stop beating up on foods that are natural. If you want to tell me stop eating the chips and the cookies, cakes, and pies, I totally can get behind that. Yes, these are things that we need to stop snacking on. These foods raise the blood sugars quickly. When we raise the blood sugars quickly, they also drop quickly. And that drop is where we create that craving. So, yeah, let's stop eating stuff like this. But if you want to eat an apple or an orange or strawberries or, God forbid, some mango, absolutely you can do that. And carrots and hummus, yeah, we can do that. Let's stop with the beating up on natural foods. It's something that I get very upset about when I hear that in the group. Let's just stop talking about that. Now, we know that we are all over snackers.
Just
Yeah.
just not the whole pineapple or not the whole watermelon. Have you because it's a snack, it's not a meal.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about pairing any carb with the protein and fiber and volume from foods that don't raise blood sugar, but we're not talking about the whole pineapple. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But I myself, I will tell you that if I get started on the chips, it's very hard to stop. And you know what I mean. So when you're shopping for your house and your caregiver, I don't bring foods into my house that I don't have control over. And for the person that you're caring for, or even yourself with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, stop buying them. I know it's hard. We go in the grocery store and we're loaded with buy one, get one free. These are on sale. Oh, this is such a good price. Stop it. Stop bringing this into your house because if it's not there, it's not going to be tempting.
Hmm.
We do have some studies here that show just that frequent snacking associated with increased hunger and not having control over eating. I have absolutely experienced that many, many, many times over again. Okay, so we got to balance the snack. It's not the whole pineapple, but maybe a half a cup, maybe a third of a cup, three-fourths of a cup with some cottage cheese. That's the way my mom always ate pineapple. Let's add some protein with it. If you're still hungry, maybe we snack on some cherry tomatoes that we're growing in the garden, and we I love to cut up cucumbers and douse it with a lime juice, like a fresh lime juice, and then sprinkle on it some cayenne pepper or some chili powder. Ah, that is such a great snack and so high in volume. I've already had the pineapple and cottage cheese, so I'm not going to add any more carbs, but I can still keep snacking on non-carb foods that will make me feel very full and satisfied. So yes, you do have to be aware of the portion size and maybe preparing the portion size that's great for you or for your loved one that you're caretaking for is absolutely going to be helpful. Adding protein. Oh, so when it comes to the fruit, I buy the bagged apples because the bagged apples are smaller. If you
Hmm.
just pick them off the shelf, they can be very big, especially in the fall. But so this would be an example of my small apple. And when it comes to portion control, I'm portion distorted. I will tell you that as a dietitian, I need stuff like this. I need those to go peanut butter cups. If I don't have this, I'm going to go way over on the peanut butter. So having things like this is very, very helpful. I also like those to go hummus. That's also I'm a big fan of that. Make sure when you have a snack, it's going to be satisfying. That's where the protein, that's where the fiber comes in, that's where the veggies come in. That is going to stick to your ribs a lot longer than just the chips. Like you are going to be fuller quicker when you focus on the protein. Fiber at volume. Meat, eggs, cheese. Oh, chia seeds. So I love a high protein yogurt. I'm a fan of this company right here. It's the Oikos 000, and then the same brand, the Pro. Look at all that protein. I love this with berries or with some pineapple or with even an apple. But I'm not done with it yet. Here's what I do. Add more protein. We can use something like hemp seeds. Hemp seeds is a lovely protein source and it's vegetarian. 2 or 3 tablespoons of this added to the yogurt is going to add about 6 grams of protein. That's amazing. You want to add some fiber, you want to get full super fast, add some chia seeds to all the yogurts that you're going to eat. Chia seeds is super high in fiber. They're little tiny, tiny little seeds, but when they hit your stomach, they expand. You feel so full so quickly. It's a way to help you just have one snack until the next meal. We don't want to be eating a meal and then snack, 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 eat another meal because our blood sugars stay up here the whole time. Our blood sugars have to recover. They have to come down before the next meal. We should only see that rise of blood sugar around mealtime because we're eating more carbs. And then we should see a flatter line and then another rise and then a flatter line. So we don't want your body to have a high blood sugar 24/7. You've got to bring those down between the meals. And that's where all the other strategies come in. The exercise or the lower carb snacks will absolutely help you. You're going to learn what's best for you. I would get on one of those continuous glucose monitors. If your insurance isn't going to cover it, maybe buy it from the internet. Buy the Stelo brand, Stelo. It's a wonderful CGM. It doesn't have the whistles and bells on it, but it is made from the Dexcom company. So it comes from a very good product company anyway. So that's what I would recommend. Or check your blood sugar. You can get the meter. You can check pre and post meal. You can check around snack time as well. I mean, maybe you for the first 2 weeks you check maybe 2 to 5 times a day, and then after 2 weeks, once you kind of get the pattern, then maybe you slow down. You don't test as much. Okay, here is some non-carb snacks. I love an egg. Man, a deviled egg, just a boiled egg, mash it up. Maybe instead of putting it on a cracker, put it on a cucumber or just a few deviled eggs. That is pure protein. You will feel full after that. Don't worry about the yellow. There's something I covered in another class where it's not cholesterol in foods that raise your cholesterol, your blood cholesterol. It's saturated fat. So I know there's a lot of new information on that, but so far that's the one thing I'm sticking to, that saturated fat raises the cholesterol, not cholesterol in food. So shrimp has cholesterol, eggs have cholesterol. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to have the yellow. You can have one
Well,
yellow and maybe the rest egg whites.
well, at this time in the history, eggs are on the good side. We are again okay, and I
Yeah,
see more articles and studies that are saying that eggs are good. We can eat eggs.
right. When I was traveling, I stay home and work now, but when I had that hour commute from downtown Charlotte to my home here in South Carolina, I would be hungry and very tempted to just run off onto the Chick-fil-A drive-through almost on my, because I pass it every day on my drive home. So what I did instead is I had already packed those little to-go bags of like pea pods or carrots or bell peppers, and I'm snacking on that until I get home, just to stay full until I get home. And it worked. Rarely. And sometimes I would just drive to the drive-through at Chick-fil-A and turn around and get back on the road. Because that is one thing that you don't need before the next meal. You don't need a whole fast food meal. Because you know what's really hard? When you're hungry, you just want what you want. So prepare yourself, have something in the car, maybe a bag of nuts or cashews. It doesn't melt in the heat, so you can have that in the car all the time. I love,
Roasted, roasted edamame.
yes, I love roasted edamame. It's so, and that's easy. It doesn't melt. I love celery. I know you have people that don't like celery. I love celery. I love cucumbers. I can make up a tuna salad or a chicken salad and plop it on a cucumber and eat it that way. I'm getting fiber, I'm getting volume, I'm getting protein, but I'm not getting any carbs with it. So my blood sugars will be stable. So if my blood sugar is over 100, I don't really need carbs. I can go without carbs until the meal. How about getting that butter lettuce? You know, that butter lettuce or that romaine lettuce is
Yes.
kind of like a little boat. Put your veggies in there, or some avocado in there, or some tuna salad, or some grilled chicken, maybe with a little salsa, and roll that up and have that for a little mini snack. These are non-carb snacks. Veggies and dip.
Well, planning ahead is definitely the really helpful tip.
I mean, all of the snacks I've eaten, I love all of that. My favorite thing to do now, I get these carb counter tortillas or the carb smart or the low carb. I know it usually has the word keto on it, but keto just means high fiber. We still count the carbs when I don't teach net carbs unless I have a type 1 patient taking insulin for every carb that they eat. Absolutely, we do net carbs because some fiber you don't need to count as carbs. So it gets a little complicated. But for most of my pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes patients, we don't do net carbs, we do total carbs. But because these have a lot of fiber, they're going to be very filling. Put anything in there. Sometimes I'll put peanut butter in there. You can put the ham and cheese in there and heat it up, maybe in the pan, have a little quesadilla, but they're small. They're very low in carbs. They're only 10 carbs each, but you can really put in a lot of volume there. Or get your favorite, maybe wheat cracker, maybe a Triscuit, maybe a Wassa cracker, and add some protein on top of the cracker. It can be chicken salad, tuna salad, cheese, maybe avocado. That would be very filling. I love a peanut butter and apple, but I gotta watch my portion of that peanut butter. That always can get away with me. Hummus, I get the little containers of hummus too. I can eat a whole, I guess, 2 cups of hummus if I don't have that portion control. I can't stop sometimes. But getting those vegetables and not the pita, don't have pita chips in hummus. It's the veggies and the hummus, the bell pepper strips, the cucumbers, the carrots, um, the celery, all the things, whatever you like, that's what you choose. It could just be lettuce and that you put the hummus in the lettuce and you wrap it up and eat it that way. That would be fine. What about a high protein, low carb yogurt or just a plain yogurt? Maybe I think I forget the name of the one that's just bare bones plain. I think Chobani has one that's a very high protein. And
There
then,
are a lot of Greek yogurts that you just plain, take it plain.
yeah,
There's pretty high level of protein,
protein. Yeah.
and it could be a little rich in fat, but I love it. So
Yeah, like there's one called Fage, Fage, or the Chobani. There's a lot out there. But this time of year, I love frozen berries. I get frozen strawberries, frozen raspberries, and I put them in the yogurt. And as you're stirring everything together, you kind of freeze the yogurt a little bit. It's almost like a mini ice cream cup. So that's a great choice. So there's a lot of choices here. These are about 15 grams of carbs. So if it's a couple hours before your next meal, that would be the maximum I would have you eat. And 15 grams of carbs would be the small apple. So it might be not the whole plate of apples, but maybe half the plate of apple slices. Okay. Things to keep in the fridge to make it convenient to grab a snack. And I love a rotisserie chicken. And I've even gone and bought the ones that are already shredded just to save time. But I love a rotisserie chicken. How easy is that just to grab in there and just kind of debone it a little bit and have that shredded chicken just right away available? You pick up one of those tortillas, put the chicken in there, maybe a sprinkle of cheese, you heat that up. Then you add on there maybe some lettuce and tomatoes and you roll that up. Oh, so good. We can have the yogurt and the berries available or the frozen berries, the hummus and the vegetables that are already kind of tiny that you're just going to dip in there. You don't really have to wash it all. I guess you should wash everything, but or a cucumber that you can pre-cut up and maybe put it in a little container with some lime juice so it's ready to go. Just those cherry tomatoes, you can just grab those. Those don't need any preparation. But having things that are quick and easy that you can grab in your refrigerator or put it in a special section, this is for snacking. that would be a great way to support yourself and your person that you're caregiving for. Do you have any other ideas, Arena, when it comes to fridge keepers?
Well, I do. I'm with you. The cheese and cheese slices, I like right here you have mild, you have shredded cheese, but I do like cubes of,
Yeah.
sometimes hard cheese. I buy the block and cut it into cubes, and these are
Yeah.
my pieces that I would grab if I'm feeling like snacking but don't want to eat yet.
Now we have pantry keepers. I keep this in stock. This is a dollar for 16 grams of protein. This is insane. I love these. You can also add those to a wrap. Put a little light mayonnaise, maybe an avocado, or I'm sorry, an olive oil mayonnaise, and add it to your wrap. And then put some sliced tomatoes and lettuce in there. That's a wonderful way to feel full. Or put that tuna salad on a cucumber instead of a cracker. But you could do a higher fiber cracker like a Triscuit. Same thing with the chicken, a canned chicken. Don't be afraid to use canned chicken. It is so convenient, and you can add it to soups and stews and tuna salad, chicken salad, those kinds of things. There's your roasted edamame. That's a good brand there. I love a bar. So these new kind Protein Max bars are my favorite right now. I love these bars. They're a little pricey, but you can really get so full just off one bar. It does have 24 grams of carbs, not 15, but it's 20 grams of protein, and I love to snack on those. Like my lunch to dinner, like that's a long time. And that's usually when I would have one of these Protein Max bars. I also like a little sweet in the afternoon. And that's where these pure protein bars come in. I also love these, but these have sugar alcohols in them. So if your stomach is sensitive, you could feel very bloaty or gassy after eating this, but just one a day. So a lot of the, I guess, carb smart dessert type foods have sugar alcohols that can really make you a little gassy. So be aware of that. This one does have some in it, but it's 20 grams of protein and it literally cures my sweet tooth. So I'm getting protein, I'm getting sweetness. I'm getting only 16 grams of carbs and 20 grams of protein with a pure protein bar. Many, many different flavors. Beef jerky, chomps, I think is a very big favorite. Yeah, why can't we do a rice cake? I mean, we're not dieting. We're just using that as a low carb vehicle, right? To put the tuna salad on or to put the peanut butter on or to put the avocado on. It's a great strategy. And so these are pantry basics. There's hundreds of pantry basics, but these are some of the ones that I like.
Uh, just one thing that I wanted to emphasize again and again. This is not the meal building. This is the in between meals if you have to have something. So I see in our Facebook group a lot of times people are really butchering someone who would say, I had this for snack. We don't know when was the last meal this person had. We don't know what was the blood sugar for that person when they had to take the snack. We don't
Yeah,
know anything.
right.
I see how people start judging and saying, "Did you see it's 15 carbs in there?" This is okay. Again, if this is not your meal that you are working with and you have just one piece of it, one bar of it, one portion of it, not like the whole bowl of it.
You can take a snapshot of this if you'd like. I can also make a handout with all these different ideas for snacks. There's hundreds and hundreds of combinations. But the point is, you got your protein. You're either going to have a non-carb snack or you're going to have about 15 grams of carbs. How do you want to put it together? There's endless combinations. I really like this list because it said sugar-free popsicle. One of my favorite sugar-free popsicles is the Outshine, no sugar added. Two of them is about 12 grams of carbs, and then add a handful of peanuts with it. That's a great choice. I love it during these hot days. It's sweet and it's so delicious. Just cools you off, gets you ready, just to move on from your cravings.
One more thing I wanted to, well, two things. For one thing, this presentation will be on our YouTube channel. So obviously today, if you didn't have chance to take a snapshot, you could go to recording of this on YouTube channel and see there, stop, take a copy, take a picture of it on your phone, or write it down, whatever. So this is one thing to help you out. And the other thing, and Kim, you already mentioned it, I just wanted to emphasize one more time that those uh, alcohol, sugars,
Sugar,
those
alcohol.
sweeteners, this all these substitutes, very often, especially the sugar alcohols, they could affect the way how your stomach is reacting. So
Yes.
they sometimes serve as laxatives. So be
Yes.
aware, don't overdo it,
Yeah.
because I see very often people will say, "Oh, I had that and it didn't affect my blood sugar at all." Well, yes, it didn't affect your blood sugar, but how often did you have to run to the bathroom after that? Keep that in mind. When you're giving it to someone, keep that in mind. If this person already has the stomach issues,
Yeah.
maybe they have to have a bite of it, not the whole thing.
Yeah. If you have IBS, certainly not, you do not want a lot of sugar alcohols. That can really make that worse. That's a very, very good point, Irina. Thank you so much. So just as a reminder for yourself or for your caregiver that snacks are optional, but it's great to have some quick and easy ones that are very available. You prepare them, put them in a special drawer, put them in a special section of the pantry so it's easy grab and go. Volumize. Always be adding the raw veggies, cooked veggies if you can't tolerate raw veggies. Cooked carrots and celery and things like that are just fine. Or maybe having like a cold veggie soup ready. I mean for the hot times or a hot soup ready for the cold times. Check the blood sugar. Sometimes our blood sugar is pretty low and we don't notice it's low. So you might need more carbs. If you're 70 or lower, you might need not just 15 carbs, you might need a 30 carb snack. And always add protein. I can't stress that enough. When I don't eat protein during my snack times, I am hungrier. I'm physically hungrier. I'm more snacky. I crave more. You have to deaden that spike of blood sugar with any carb by protein and fiber to help stabilize your cravings. It's a miracle in that when you do it this way, when you snack and eat this way, you stop craving carbs. It's a beautiful situation to be in. Try it. So give yourself grace. A lot of changes for you and the person you're caregiving for. You don't have to make every change right away. Start somewhere. You're changing your entire life with just one small step. You're going to be okay. We're here to support you. And I'm so thankful that you were here today. And Arena, that is it. And I guess we can open it up to questions, but I'm so happy to give you this information. And yes, you can look at it again on YouTube if you missed anything.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. I wanted to add here one more time. Well, not add, just remind everyone that absolutely for sure, one step at a time. Diabetes, in very, very rare occasions, happen overnight. It's something that you got to, or the person got to this diagnosis after years of not maybe not paying attention or being stressed out too long, not having regular schedule. There are a lot of contributors to it. Maybe they were raised in the environment that was set up to end up with type 2 diabetes. Whatever happened, it didn't happen overnight. So, small changes, one step at a time, and patiently waiting until this step is comfortable before bringing more discomfort to your life. This is the way how you could really change your lifestyle and keep it and make it natural to you. But if you decide that from Monday or from the first of the month, I am not doing this, I am not doing that, I am not doing this. Instead of, I'm going to gym, I'm running or doing 10,000 steps every day, I am doing crunches, and I go to bed at 10 p.m., well, you are putting yourself in such a hard challenge that it's very hard to do. One more thing I forgot to add. Diabetes is a team sport. And as a caregiver, we are team members supporting the athlete. So let's create the big support team. Let's create a caring environment and be patient with the athlete. Not everybody is suited for the Olympic medal. Sometimes we just have to enjoy the track without hurting ourselves. All right. We have Joanne here with us today. She is the professional caregiver. Thank you, Lynn. Nice to know. I'm doing a lot of these suggestions already perfect. I did not know about the roasted edamame. Thank you, Kim. And I will be looking for that. Love apple and natural, no sugar peanut butter, but only like ambrosia or Pacific Rose apples that are only available. Exactly. Some apples, unfortunately, are not available for the whole entire time, but we do have, you know, an option there. Maybe try another apple. Maybe you find something that will work. I do love one specific kind of apples that is only in the fall, like August and September. And when they are out there, I always buy them, and then I just wait for the next year. That's it. Okay, Joanne, she is here with us. Let me put the spotlight on her. She is the caregiver. She's been on in our group for years also. She's been on our podcast. She's been on our expos multiple times. She is contributing very useful information to the group on a regular basis and supporting people who are in the group. So when she heard today that we have this session, she asked if she can join in, and I said absolutely yes. And right now is time for questions and answers. If anyone has questions, please don't hesitate to type them in. And for right now, Joanne has something to add to what is already said here today. Welcome.
I have so many things to add. First and foremost, Kim, you and I need to talk. We are reading from the same sheet book of the music of managing diabetes and metabolic syndrome. I cannot tell you how perfect everything I heard you say was. And I'm like, yes, yes, all the things. There are a few other bits of stuff that I have to add because I have recently had so many patients, including my husband and my children, that go in line with the nutrition and that which we choose to put in our body. And I just want to say that first and foremost, when you have a trauma, like a medical trauma of some kind, whether it's an accident, a heart attack, a stroke, the diagnosis of cancer, anything like that, that's a traumatic experience. And so when you have that happen, you're inevitably going to have kind of trouble in like regulating yourself because everything's on fire and lit up, and because we don't know what's going to happen. We have anxiety, we don't know what the future is going to hold, we don't know what's going to happen. And that can definitely cause increase in weight. It can definitely increase blood sugar readings and stuff like that. And so people will have an experience and have that kind of thing happen and be like, oh my God, my blood sugar's up. I'm failing. You're not failing. You have an acute event that's causing an initial like kind of problem. And that's kind of normal for your body to do. We want the body to do that which it's supposed to do, but then we want to make sure that we're feeding it properly, nurturing it properly, and all that stuff. You mentioned, Kim, that pre-diabetes is a big deal. And I've heard a bunch of cases of this recently. As a matter of fact, the latest one was yesterday, where there's a person that's like 22 years old, very healthy, vegetarian lifestyle, very active, all of a sudden finding themselves on the spectrum. What's going on? Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and that goes into like, well, what are you feeding yourself? What do you find your body wanting and stuff like that? And to me, I seem to find there's a phenomenon of where people enter into a diabetic state, but they're not actually diabetic. It's just in that state when the immune system is provoked to do that. I'm sure I can see that you're hearing what I'm saying. And we talked about family history, and family history is very predictive for sure, but it's not for the reasons that people think. Well, my daddy had it, so I had it. It's not just because your daddy had it. Y'all lived in the same house. Y'all ate the same food. Y'all had the same environmental exposures. So yeah, there's a thing that happens with that. And it can happen with, mold toxicity and food poisoning and infection, all kinds of different stuff. And obviously the pandemic created situations where that's an issue. But the hard part is getting people to understand and comply, in the sense of, hey, you have this situation now. You cannot just go back and eat that bag of Doritos. Let's figure out how to make the Doritos in a way that you could tolerate them, and it kind of give you the same effect, but it's all super healthy. My own husband, I feed him except when he feeds himself. And I make like salads, and I make I do the resistant starch thing where I prepare the pasta, rice, and potatoes, day ahead of time, and like mix it with lots of veggies and stuff like that. And my husband eats that when he's here. When he's not here at work, he's eating whatever the boss decides to get for lunch. And so they go out to lunch, and he'll take them to Chili's, and he'll buy a, giant tub of Taco Bell and all this stuff. And he eats that, and then he comes home. And recently, well, let me backtrack just a little bit. I promise I'll make this short. He had good control of the blood glucose, and then suddenly blood glucose went up. And I'm like, well, what happened? And he's been on GLP-1, Trulicity specifically. He's been on glipizide, metformin, all this stuff. And even me, having nursing experience and all that stuff, he's like, shut up, I want my cupcakes. I'm going to eat that. And I'm like, you shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea. He does it anyway. And just this past Thursday, he had to come to recognition with that, because we went to the doctor. He was like, well, I have these places on my toes and my fingers feel funny. And I'm like, we have to go to the doctor. Your blood sugar is 370. What's going on? We have to get it. You're not an expert. Okay, great. Let's have your doctor tell you what exactly happened. And this, perhaps, I think, is the most important part, is that when we went to see the doctor actually said, and y'all gonna fall out of your chair when you hear this, doctor said, you have a complicated situation. We are not gonna throw the kitchen sink at you right now, because I can give you 10 different medications to correct all the stuff that's going on. But if I do that, you're going to feel bad. And then you're going to give up, because you're going to feel so bad, because all of this is attacking your body at once. You have multiple things. So let's go and start low and slow. Let's check this thing. First off, want to protect your kidneys and stuff. And I trust your wife is paying attention. And it's really funny because the doctor decided to ask my husband, what do you know about the A1C? And I was like,
And your husband is already has this diagnosis for years. It's not his first visit.
since 2012, he's had the diagnosis. And when the doctor was like, what do you know about A1C? I was like, and the doctor looked at me and he was like, you shut your mouth right now. And I was like, I promise I won't say anything. I'm not going to not laugh because I can't help it. And then my husband's like, oh, well, I guess it measures blood sugar. And then the doctor said, well, how often do we get that test done? And my husband's like, I don't know, like every month, 2 months. And I'm like, I cannot believe this because you've heard me talking about this. And my point in saying that is that even if you're a healthcare professional and you know all the stuff, the folks that we love don't want to hear it from us because they have a thing with that. They have to hear it from a professional. And so it's like, I've been telling you, they told you, what are you going to do now? And as it turned out in my husband's situation, he said, well, I'm trying to not die and I don't want to lose a toe. I'll do whatever you tell me. And I was like, I didn't tell you. He told you. What are you going to do now? And so sometimes, like for those of us that are healthcare professionals or those of us that are very proactive about like reading up on all the literature and research, the family get burned out from hearing from us all the time. It's very similar to children. When you're trying to raise children and you tell them, don't do this and definitely do that. And whatever, mom, we don't care. You're just stupid and crazy. And they don't want to hear anything we have to say. But if they hear it from an outside professional who's extending compassion, empathy, and paying attention, they will listen. Sorry, I can't help myself. I just thought it was a great story that kind of blend into that which Kim talked about today.
Absolutely. And this also proves that we were talking today several times, mentioned today several times, that very often when people who have this diagnosis, when they go to doctor's office, they hear what they want to hear. And they're not very good deliverers of the information what doctor said, because they've heard what they wanted to hear. They selected what information to share, and if we don't educate ourselves as caregivers, we really are in a dark room doing something that we don't know. Is it helping? Is it hurting? I would love to help, but how can I help in a better way? And this is the reason why we actually started with Kim these sessions. Every month we have this 2 hours meeting, and Kim talks about specific topics, because this is what a lot of caregivers are not being informed. Even if you take an active position and you start studying it and self-educate, you got to connect it with the person who you're caring for, because without it, it's just the information. We need to kind of learn and apply, and that's the thing. And everybody here is welcome to share their stories. When I will record this, well, it's recording right now. When I will post it on YouTube, if there is something very personal and you don't want this to go to the World Wide Web, we will cut it out. It will not be posted there. Just let me know. But if you have questions, I see here Diane, Lynn, and Trina. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you have suggestions or you want to share something from your experience, please feel free to share. If you want to speak, you need to unmute yourself. If you would rather type it in, please, the chat is open and you type it in.
I have a question for
Yes.
Kim, actually. One of the things that you mentioned, and that I have seen repeatedly in individuals is, well, I ate some food and then my blood sugar went down, which is reactive hypoglycemia. Do you have thoughts on that you could share? Because I see this happening a lot in people.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people putting snapshots of their CGMs, their continuous glucose monitors online, where we see a really fast rise of blood sugar and then it's like crash. And that really does happen when somebody is not packing their snacks or their meal with a protein and a fiber, just slow down the digestion. And then once it gets to be crashing, your body is automatic. I mean, your body, if you're not on insulin, your body is not going to let you get too low, and your body will naturally start dumping more sugar into your system to recover you. And it's like, well, then I didn't eat anything and it went right back up. It's like, well, your body is not going to die because of a low blood sugar. Your body will try to save you in every way. But as the person who has it, needs to know that whatever snack they had probably wasn't a great balance, and maybe just to reevaluate it. Don't beat yourself up, but just reevaluate it. The other thing, Joanne, and yes, I can't wait to talk to you more. I like what you said about the doctors are saying, well, just give yourself some insulin for it. And that's okay sometimes. You want that cupcake. You might need a couple of units of insulin. I don't mind. I encourage my patients to not deprive themselves. If it's something that you want, have it. Just prepare for it. Maybe you do have to take a little bit more insulin. Maybe you have to be super active before you even eat that meal, or active after having that dessert. But people have personal responsibility. And my dad, I told him, when I went back to college, I sacrificed and got into student loan debt. And I'm like, I'm doing this for you. So if you screw up, it's your fault, not mine. And he took that to his grave. He never wanted to embarrass me. He's like, my daughter's a dietitian. I got to do what's right. And so I put that in him early on because he did not want to disappoint me. But for other family members, you do have to let them have that free will. It's their life. If they want to lose their toes and go blind, they know it's going to happen. They hear it enough. You just have to let them sometimes. But as the
You
person
do.
in the house, you have to bring into the house not the sodas, not the candy, not the chips, the things that they're craving. You have to prepare that home to be blood sugar friendly for everybody. And this is where I get a lot of pushback. Well, it's just my husband or just my spouse that has the diabetes. I don't, so I'm going to bring in the sodas. No, you can't. You can't really do that. That's not fair. And this is extreme, but I would say if your family member was an alcoholic, are you going to have beer in the house? No, I'm not saying that people have an addiction to carbs, although that can happen, but it's just temptation. Remove the temptation. And that's very, very helpful. And it's not a sacrifice. It's thank God you can do this. Like you can do this for your husband. And I know you wanted to say, see, I told you so, but you didn't. And that's a good wife. That's a good spouse. And you're there to still support him and lift him up. And Joanne, what you're going through with your husband is really, really tough because you know what's going to happen. And finally, the doctor had to say it. And hopefully, this is the end of your husband just doing willy-nilly things, but it's tough out there. It's tough out there when you know a lot and you want to help everybody. You can't tell everybody what to do. Just be the example.
That's the whole thing. And like when my husband had to answer the doctor and he couldn't, and the doctor looked at me and said, shut your mouth, don't you say nothing, because the doctor is aware of me already. And like, I'm not saying nothing. And my husband's like, and the doctor's like, yeah, like, and my husband's like, I want you to help me. And I'm like, thank you. After 18 years of being married to you and you telling me multiple times I'm not an expert. Well, look, a doctor told you to listen to me and told me to shut my mouth so I wouldn't give you the answer. Like it becomes complicated sometimes. And this is a thing that I think we would probably benefit from addressing maybe in a future podcast episode is caregiver burnout from
Yeah.
having to manage
Yes.
family members that don't want to be compliant because they have an addiction type thing or they
Yeah.
have this,
That's
kind
Arena's
of like,
specialty. Literally her
because
specialty.
like not for nothing. Let me go ahead and tell you, and I hope somebody listening will benefit. My husband has been working full time, 7 days a week for the last year. He was diagnosed in 2012 with diabetes that was directly related to an infection, but also have a family predisposition. A whole lot of stupid stuff that go into that. Nevertheless, he was falling asleep on the couch at 8 o'clock in the morning after he had a cup of coffee and was supposed to go to work. And I was like, what's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I checked him and he registered well over 300 on the blood sugar. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap.
That'll put you to sleep real quick.
Right, exactly. And he complained about hip pain and stuff. He's a mechanic, he's under cars and doing all kinds of heavy stuff. I'm like, you have an inflammatory episode occurring. And then my children told on him and was like, oh, we saw him at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, grabbing a handful of chocolate chunks and some ice cream from the fridge. And I'm like, oh, really? That's all so we're doing that, huh? Why are we doing that at midnight? Something's, and so these are things that caregivers have to pay attention to, which we can address in a future episode. I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment about the snacks because this is something that I find for myself extremely like working consistently. When I am busy with the workload, and it could be not necessarily work, but house chores, and I need to make a phone call, and I need to take, I don't know, go to the store and return something or purchase something, and I am busy. I am always busy. I have my meals, but I don't have even time to consider the snack because I'm busy. I'm actively doing something. But if I have the whole things, like list of things to do, but nothing pinned to the hour, I amble around and like I can start doing this, I could start doing that, or I could go and check a refrigerator, or I could check what is in the pantry, and I start snacking. I am not actively involved. If I stay longer than I should stay up, I go to look for a snack. And it could be, I'm trying to be mindful, so it would be probably banana or an apple or nut. But I know that at this time I should not be eating anyways. I should be sleeping. So this is in relation to snacking. Um, Snacks could be the result of two things. One, you have nothing to do, you're bored, and this is how we entertain ourselves. Or
right.
your blood sugar is out of the normal range and you need to do something about it.
Or you're tired.
This is just two things.
So, Kim, this is something that we have to look at as clinical professionals. What does the data show about circadian rhythm?
Yeah, for sure.
Cravings.
Yeah.
We have to look more deeply into that.
For my third
shift, we will touch base about that when we talk.
Third shift patients have been studied a lot. It's a really, really tough deal to work third shift. You're completely outside of your circadian rhythm. You're not sleeping for 8 hours at one time. You might have like several 2 or 3 hour naps through the day, it's devastating on your body. So that's something we can definitely research that together and see what we come up with for another presentation.
Well, and I will
Absolutely.
also just add a side note to that. I also wonder about the age that you are when you start working the third shift and whether or not having that actually create a permanent imprint in your body's natural rhythm. So like let's say you're, 20, 22, something like that, you work third shift for 3 or 4 years, and then you have to like be a mom or something, which also require third shift work, right? And then like it's like, okay, now you work 9 to 5. Well, my body can't do that. Now I'm gonna be up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and
Yeah.
I'm like, I want snacks. Like we have so much to talk
I'm
about.
looking forward to results of your discoveries because I have a daughter. She is nighttime worker in the hospital. So this is something that I would like to know what you will find out. How when she has to change her schedule. Um, I wanted to say this. I think today we are not going to last for the whole 2 hours. Um, Fortunately, snacks are um, pretty compact. It's a compact meal, and we could have the we can, and what Kim just demonstrated, she covered a lot of information in a compact enough time. So this is a good thing. It opens the doors for the conversations, and I invite everybody who sees this presentation and recording. It will be on YouTube again, Smart Move 360, along with every other session that we had here. If you looked at it, not today, but recording, and you realize that we forgot something, we overlooked something, please type in the questions because we are checking the comments and trying to respond in a timely manner. So this is something I would like to invite everybody. Another thing, there are announcements about these sessions are always in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners. But uh, you could always check the YouTube channel Smart Move 360 Caregiver Diabetes 101 for Caregivers playlist and see what is there. We are committed with Kim to do this every month for 2025. We don't know where it will take us after in the next year, but this is the year where when we are doing that,
Maybe
right?
suggestions, put in suggestions of the next, because we haven't come up with the next topic yet for July. So let us know, what would you like to see as a caregiver of somebody with diabetes? I mean, we can cover thousands of different topics. Just let us know.
Absolutely, absolutely. One more thing, I wanted to let everybody know that we are inviting people to join our Diabetes 101 for Caregivers community. And if you are interested, please contact me and we will have a conversation. I will send you an invitation and we will do that. It's a closed community. This is something that we are trying to be very, um, it's a private, closed community, and we don't want it to become a big public forum. This is something that we want to
A
be
safe space.
specific to the person and to the different situations, like real help to real people from real people.
I like
So
that. That's a great motto. I love that.
Real help from real people.
Love it.
So this is the end of today's session. I would like to thank you, Kim, again for
Welcome.
your presentation, for your words. Thank you, Joanne, for joining and sharing your expertise and your experiences. Thank you, everyone who were here in person and putting your comments in the comment section. Hopefully, we answered your questions. And again, Kim is available. She is an expert in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners. I am also available as an admin in a group, and it's all you need to do. Just type in Irina Strunina or type in admin, and we will find your comment or post or whatever you choose, unless you want to private message me, which is also possible. Thank you again, everybody. It's Saturday. I hope you have a good, successful weekend. It's end of June in Atlanta. Every day, in the second half of the day, we have horrendous storms with firework.
Lots of lightning.
2 days
South
ago, we
Carolina.
had hail. So this is something that we are experiencing. So let's go out, do something good, go for a walk, do something in your yard, and stay healthy. Snack when you need to, but be mindful what you put in your mouth. All right. Have a great day.
Amen.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.